Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be starting our coverage of Shenmue for the Dreamcast, playing until Master Chen tells us to go get the Phoenix Mirror. But before we get started, how was everyone's week?
Listen, if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Shenmue is a Christmas game.
Hell yeah.
Sure,
So
man.
we're playing this for Christmas.
Yeah. And more than Die Hard, Santa Claus is in this game, so it's extra Christmas.
It's totally the real Santa, too.
Mm-hmm.
My week, I don't know. I had to drive a lot today for work, but that's not very funny or interesting, is it?
No. What book were you listening to when you did it?
I was driving with a coworker, so I was making awkward conversation.
That's hell. You were in hell
for 3 hours. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's the worst.
What about y'all? Are y'all in hell?
No. Fuck. So here's the thing: I'm trying to think. I have, unfortunately, the most recent thing happening with me is, after a while of getting pretty good consistent sleep, as I should have expected, the winds changed, and now I'm getting dog shit sleep, and I'm tired as fuck. Which sucks.
I think you should probably remove the dog shit from your bed, and you'll probably sleep better. I don't think dog shit sleep works.
I'm gonna go to whatever state you are living in, and I'm going to kill you.
Like, I know Gwyneth Paltrow says it'll make you young again, but you shouldn't put dog shit in your bed.
God damn you. That aside, I am pretty happy because I'm having a visit with two of my partners coming over at the start of January. I've gotten the timer off, so it's my first time using vacation days at my new job. Vacation days, I should mention, which I think I have on the podcast before. Vacation days accrue at 3.5 hours a month.
That's stupid.
So I have over 5 months saved up 4 shifts worth of hours. Absolutely insane. But I've got the time requested off for just 3 days, because New Year's Day I get some days off anyway. I have booked the hotel. I paid for the fucking plane ticket for one of my partners who lives very far away in Indiana. It'll be my first time seeing her in person. She's the last of my partners who I've yet to see IRL, and I'm really excited to finally get to spend time with her. And it'll also be a fun occasion of, I have the partners I live with, and then I'll have 2 other partners here, which I've never had that kind of conflagration. I could get kissed by 3 people at once.
Hell yeah.
Maybe 4 if my wife's wife is willing to leave her room. But yeah, so that's a good thing to look forward to. I also just started a book called Fingersmith. I am still less than 100 pages through it, but I understand why it is a very well-regarded book for the kind of nerds who are into it. It's been a while since I've read anything that's going for that kind of Victorian setting and feel like this. Like, this is truly, not completely, like, if you are a big nerd for the time period, you could definitely tell this wasn't written, in the 1800s and is written more contemporary. But as someone who has read a lot of books written in the 1800s throughout getting my fucking English degree, it captures a lot of that feeling of those novels very well, I would say. Has a really fun plot, and I can't wait to watch some of the adaptations that have been made of it after I've read the book. What about you, Sam?
I also have a poly as fuck thing happening pretty soon. All three of my partners are coming over for Christmas movies on Tuesday, and I'm very excited for that. We're going to be watching Angry Angel. Cue that David Lynch meme that Bernard made fun of me with earlier, but it's me and Angry Angel telling people to watch it every year. But we're going to be watching Angry Angel and Anna versus the Apocalypse, which is also very, very good. It is a Christmas movie about zombies, and it's a musical. They couldn't choose. Usually you can choose 2, but they decided to go all 3, and it's wonderful. And I'm super excited for that. Other than that, this past week and this upcoming week is just going to be me crafting like a mofo because Christmas is down the line and I don't have money for non-handmade gifts. So I am making a lot of handmade gifts and listening to a lot of books while I do so. Speaking of Christmas,
That's a holiday that some people celebrate.
let's play the most Christmas game of all time. And let's talk about Shenmue. Some history about Shenmue. So Shenmue was created by Yu Suzuki, who is famous at Sega for he's doing a whole bunch of arcade games, and he decided that he wanted to do a game where people play it for more than a few minutes and wanted to do a slightly longer experience, and so he wanted to make a role-playing game, and he originally started a role-playing game based on Virtua Fighter for the Sega Saturn, but that took a really long time and didn't get finished before the Dreamcast was on the horizon, so they moved it over to the Dreamcast. Like a lot of Japanese developers, they decided that they wanted their own characteristic genre, and because they wanted a characteristic genre, they made it a English acronym for no fucking reason. So Shenmue's genre is Full Reactive Eyes Entertainment, or FREE. So there was a interview in... I'm reading it on Shmuplations. I was going to credit the magazine, but they didn't credit the magazine. So in some old magazine, there was a interview with the people who made it, and there's a lot of fun anecdotes about the game, and one that is obvious the moment you start playing it. They decided that the greatest care that they took with the design was capturing a sense of reality. They didn't just want to create realistic pictures. They wanted all of the stuff that happens after the drawings were done to make it look realistic, so much that they hired an interior designer to design everything as if it was like a real job. They were like, don't think about it as level, just make us a house. And so he made houses, and they went through a whole boatload of names for the game and for almost 300 characters that are in the game. And the game was going to be called Ginpuki, which is roughly translates to Tale of the Mysterious Wind. But Ginpuki is a very funny and not very good name. And it was like right up until they were about to announce it is when they finally switched it over and started calling it Shenmue. But the ship that Ryo boards partway through the game is called the Ginpumaru, as a reference to Ginpuki. Ryo also, his name was almost Kamizaki, and it was literally the night before the announcement when they decided between Hazuki and Kamizaki, which is wild. And then my favorite tidbit is that the cat's name was Sasuke, like up until they had to implement it, and the person who's implemented was like, who the heck named this cat Sasuke and named it and changed its name like at the last second, which is a theme I'm finding out. But they also said that they expected people to spend a really long amount of time in the same locations in these games, and so they wanted the sound floor to be not annoying. So everyone here came from Yu Suzuki's team, and they were all arcade games. And in arcades, your songs are, as they say, a commercial for getting people to come in and give you quarters. You want everything loud and bombastic. But if you did that for a long time, it would get really annoying. So they were inspired by Buddhist khatras and stuff, just the super long, drony type. And that's the sound that they were going for everything. And the last little tidbit that I saw in this that I loved is this is the first time that Yuzo Koshiro made music like in a DAW, like with waveforms and stuff. Everything before was all sequenced in chiptune. This is his first one that was not chiptune. And he said that he gets bored if he always does the same thing, so he was excited that he got to learn something new when he was making this game. But the thing that most people know about Shenmue is that it was the most expensive video game ever developed when it came out. It was reported to cost $70 million, but in 2011, Suzuki, in an interview, said it was closer to 47 million, including marketing. So it's not a budget of 70 million. It was, as they say, marketing is like half your budget. So it probably was 20 something million, but that's still a lot in 1998 to 2000. He also said that a lot of that was also going into Shenmue 2, so it's not even that fair of a thing, but it's still ridiculously expensive, probably because they did things like hiring full interior designers to make sure that their 1980s Japanese houses had everything just right and stuff. It's wild. But yeah, after Shenmue 1 came out, they very soon after they released Shenmue 2, and then Shenmue 3 was in development hell until 2019. And then literally yesterday, a trailer for Shenmue 4 was leaked on the internet, and everyone was going crazy. And Yu Suzuki had to come out and be like, "That's AI. We didn't make that. We're going to find out who made this and sue the shit out of them." Yes, and kill them.
We're going to send Londi after them.
Yes. But yeah, it was just, we were originally going to record yesterday, which was insane that we no Shenmue news since 2019, and then suddenly there's Shenmue news the day we start to record Shenmue. It's not good news. It just is news about Shenmue. But yeah, this game is really cool and it's really important. And there's so many more thingies in that interview and about the game, and it's more. I could probably do a full ass podcast on all the cool shit, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do 2 to 3 full ass podcasts about what actually happens in the game.
If someone hasn't already, I hope someone does an oral history, like big ass book of Shenmue at some point, because this game is wild.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% want that so bad. But Bernard, what actually happens in the game?
When the game opens, we see the girl from the box art standing in the wilderness. She voiceovers, "He shall appear from a far eastern land across the sea, a young man who has yet to know his potential. This potential is a power that could either destroy him or realize his will. His courage shall determine his fate. The path he must traverse, fraught with adversity, I await whilst praying. For this destiny predetermined since ancient times. A pitch-black night unfolds with the morning stars its only light, and thus the saga begins." I can't wait to learn all about that girl, and surely that will happen very soon, and not in 2 games.
What?
Yeah, her name doesn't appear in this game.
She is Dame not appearing in this film. The place, the Japanese port town of Yokosuka. The year, 1986. The weather, snow turning to rain. A young man named Ryo Hazuki runs to his family's home in dojo. The gate has been forced open and an unfamiliar black car sits outside. Ryo enters and finds the family's housekeeper, Ine-san, collapsed outside. She insists she's all right, but Hazuki-sensei... ... She looks towards the dojo. As Ryo approaches, a student of the Hazuki dojo, Fukusan, is fucking blasted out of the dojo doors. After perfectorially checking on Fukusan, Ryo steps inside the dojo. 2 men in black suits restrain him, and he sees his father confronting a sinister man in a Chinese robe. The man demands that Hazuki tell him where the mirror is, but he refuses. Hazuki attacks, but the man effortlessly dodges his blows and knocks him to the floor. Ryo breaks free and rushes the man, but he easily dispatches Ryo as well. Regardless, Hazuki still refuses his demands. The man grabs Ryo by the neck and says, "Hand over the mirror, or else your son." Hazuki finally gives up and says the mirror is buried under the cherry tree. The man drops Ryo and his cronies exit to dig up the mirror. The man asks Hazuki if he remembers Zhao Sun-ming, the man he killed in Mingchun. I will note, I do not know how to pronounce Chinese names. There are lots of Chinese names in this game. The best I can do is try to imitate what the actors said, but that is a copy of a copy at that point. So, Chinese names may be pronounced poorly in this series. I'm sorry. Hazuki says, "It can't be. You." The man tells Hazuki to stand and die like a warrior. Hazuki attempts to fight back, but the man deals a final blow to him, knocking him back to the floor. The cronies re-enter the dojo. They address the man as Landi-sama and hand him a stone disc with an ornate dragon design. As Landi regards the non-reflective mirror, Ryo notices a tattoo on his forearm. Landi and his cronies exit. I assume either a mirror can be something different from what I think of when I hear the word mirror, or this is like something that the glass of a mirror would be set in. But it's like ancient, so we don't have the glass anymore. Anyway, back to the incredibly dramatic scene that's currently happening. Ryo crawls to his father. Hazuki asks forgiveness for leaving Ryo alone, and tells Ryo to keep his friends, those he loves, close to him. Hazuki-sensei passes away. 4 days pass. Ine-san checks the mail and finds a letter addressed to Hazuki-sensei. Ryo sleeps restlessly, dreaming of the man who killed his father, the strange things he said, his rare fighting style. He wakes up and checks his notebook to remind himself that yes, his dad did get murdered. It's always good to write down that sort of thing so you don't forget. Ryo steps out of his room and is greeted by Ine-san. They make feeble attempts to comfort each other. Then Ine-san gives Ryo his daily allowance of 500 yen. I thought usually families paid their housekeepers, but maybe they did things the other way around in 1980s Japan.
No, your housekeeper pays you for the privilege.
Damn, that sounds like a good deal. Ryo wanders around the house, picking up random objects and opening every single drawer and cabinet. Ryo finds a letter from his father, which says that those who follow the path of a warrior must live for their convictions and must be ready to die to stand by their convictions. Ryo realizes his father must have known that Landi was coming. Now that he's thoroughly investigated his own house, Ryo heads to the dojo to speak with Fukusan. Ryo asks Fukusan about what happened, but he doesn't have any new information. As Ryo turns to leave, Fukusan begs him not to go after those men, but Ryo says he will have his revenge. He must do this for his father. Ryo heads into town and notices a neighborhood kid named Megumi standing over a cardboard box at the local shrine. Ryo says hello, and Megumi shows him that she's keeping a kitten in the box. This is the best part of the game.
It is.
It is.
Listen, I'm here for this so much.
Megumi and her friends are caring for the kitten after its mother was hit by a black car the other day. Megumi worries that the kitten looks hungry, so Ryo takes some dried fish which had been left at the shrine and feeds it to the kitten. He muses that she's so tiny but already an orphan. Megumi mentions that a couple of people who saw the black car, and Ryo's ready to leave and ask around in case it's the same one that came to his house. Megumi says they need to think of a name for the kitten, and Ryo says he'll let her know if he thinks of one. So later we can choose a name for the kitten. Did y'all get that scene, and if so, what name did you choose?
I think I
her
went with,
name
like,
is
Mimi?
Mimi. Yeah.
Yeah, Mimi.
Oh man, I went with Tama.
Nice.
Tama, I thought was very cute, and also it means ball, which I think is an adorable meaning for a name for a kitten.
I was predisposed to Mimi because of Digimon propaganda.
And I was watching a long play when I was taking my notes, and they chose the name Sasuke, and Megumi was like, that name fucking sucks. We're not naming her that. She didn't
That's
say
so
it fucking
good.
sucks, but she said it's not cute at all.
That's so good.
Now it's time for the core gameplay of Shenmue, walking around and asking people for information. As we ask around, we'll probably speak with Nozomi, Ryo's classmate who seems very concerned about him. We'll also meet Tom, a foreigner who runs a food truck and had a run-in with the men in the black car. He says the head honcho of the group was wearing a Chinese coat, so Ryo should ask Chinese people about Chinese people. I guess he assumes they all know each other?
I know. And now we get to the point of the game where you walk around and every conversation says, "Hi, do you know any Chinese people?"
Yeah, Ryo wanders around saying wild sentences like, I'm looking for someone who knows about Chinese people.
Uh-huh.
This is even my favorite phrase like that.
Eventually, he reaches a Chinese restaurant where the owners, Tao-san and his wife, who I guess is also Tao-san because of how honorifics work.
That works.
They ask why he's asking these kinds of questions. But then they realize this has something to do with what happened to Ryo's father, and he's like, not all Chinese people are bad. And Ryo's like, I understand, but that's all I have to go on. They say they don't really know any of the Chinese people who have arrived in town recently, but hey, we can tell you about the Three Blades. I like to imagine that Ryo at this point is like, oh, hell yeah, the Three Blades sounds like a criminal organization that might kill a father.
Then he finds out what the Three Blades actually are.
Yeah, so the Three Blades refers to three occupations which use bladed tools: barbers, tailors, and cooks. These are the occupations Chinese immigrants to Japan have typically done over the years, and people in those professions often know other immigrants, so that's a good lead as any for Ryo's quest. I did a bit of web searching to find out if the Three Blades is an actual historical thing, and I couldn't really find any reliable sources either way, in English at least, so who can say? I did find one thing that said, hey, the Three Blades from Shenmue was a real thing, and then it had an uncredited image of like a piece of paper that was describing the Three Blades, and I was like, it looks sort of like, at a museum or gallery they'll have, those little plaques or whatever. It looked like one of those, but it didn't say what it was from. So I don't know if the Three Blades are real.
People on the internet need to learn how to credit their fucking sources.
I know, this is twice in one episode.
Oh, yeah, I think this is what you just posted is the thing that... Yeah. I found the page you were talking about earlier, the Shmuplations page, and it said, this interview we found on this site that archives old Japanese magazines, but you click on that, and then it leads to a 404 page, so we can't see what the site they're crediting got it from. Yeah. I love the internet.
It's great.
So Ryo goes around asking about the Three Blades and eventually finds his way to a retired barber named Liu. Ryo says other Three Blades members said Liu-san might be able to tell him something about Lan Di. Liu-san tries to tell Ryo about how the members of the Three Blades were also historically secret imperial bodyguards protecting emperors from assassination with their razors, knives, and scissors, and Ryo's like, yeah, cool, whatever, tell me about Lan Di. Liu-san says he can tell by Lan Di's name that he is most likely a member of a Chinese black market cartel, or perhaps even the Chinese mafia. I don't know how you can tell that from just a guy's name.
Me neither.
No, sorry, what immediately comes to mind is just, like, what would the, like, this is clearly, like, supposed to be, like, a Chinese thing, and I'm like, what would the American version? And my brain immediately was just, like, hearing, like, a really Italian name that you immediately go, that guy sounds like a mobster.
I'm looking for the man who killed my father, Tony Soprano.
I'm looking for Biddy the fish.
I'm looking for Totino's DiGiorno.
Fucking Totino's DiGiorno. Will he ever pay for his crimes?
That's a Japanese name, though. Liu-san says such criminal organizations might be set up in the harbor, so Ryo should try asking some sailors about it. So now Ryo very famously goes around asking about sailors.
Yes, this was my favorite. I didn't know that was a famous part. After a while, I was just cackling to myself. I was like, hi there, do you know where you can find some sailors? Yeah, they go to bars at night.
Yeah, this is a famous.
I feel robbed because I accidentally asked the right NPC for my first one. I didn't have an extended "Where are all the sailors?" I asked it one time and then moved on, and it was sad.
Oh man, if you
Aw.
ask Tom about it, he says, "Oh yeah, they hang out at bars." And Rio's like, "Oh, which ones?" And Tom says, "I don't know. I don't drink. I don't have any money."
I love the like as you're like going from thing to thing, there are just some characters like Tom who stick out as like these are just characters who are like very clear named characters that know Ryu and have like a very like noticeable vibe. And like they're rarely helpful, but they're memorable.
Yes. I mean, I'll talk about the most memorable character for me when we get to memorable moments, who I don't think ever helps at all.
No.
So eventually Ryo hears that sailors hang out at Heartbeat's bar. Ryo gets stopped by some punks outside the bar and he does quick time events to beat them up. He enters the bar where the bartender and the regulars hassle him for being a kid. The situation goes from calmly asking about sailors to bar fight very quickly. Again, we do QTEs to beat everyone up, and the bartender tells Ryo he'll answer his questions if he agrees to never show his face here again. Ryo asks about the Chinese cartel, and the bartender says to look for a guy named Charlie, who deals in smuggled goods and should know all about this kind of thing. The bartender provides a description. Charlie always wears sunglasses and a leather jacket and has a tattoo on his arm. Also, Charlie loves his hog.
Hog.
He loves his hog. Spelled Hawg in the subtitles. So now Ryo goes around asking for men who love their hogs. There's a scene where he saves Nozomi from some punks, which I feel I should mention to establish that yes, she is present in the story to some extent.
Yeah, she exists.
Asking around about Charlie involves stopping by a place called Nagai Industries, which appears to be a Yakuza front. I don't know if Nagai Industries is important later. I don't remember. It's been so long since I played this game. But I figured I should mention it just in case. You probably don't have to go there.
Yeah, I didn't go there at all.
It's a weird place. The people in there speak real weird, which it's Shenmue. Of course, they speak weird.
Everyone speaks really weird.
Ryo also gets into a tussle with some of the punks from the bar fight, except we actually do a fight instead of QTEs this time. And I think this might be the first time you have to fight. You do Virtua Fighter fights, basically, because this used to be a Virtua Fighter game. So it's really weirdly in-depth for how rarely you actually fight. After kicking their asses, Ryo interrogates one of the punks who doesn't know Charlie, but reveals that there is a tattoo parlor somewhere in Yokosuka, so maybe we should try there. But of course, this punk does not know where the tattoo parlor is. Ryo goes around and eventually stumbles into the arcade where he meets some gang members with tattoos. They say they'll tell Ryo where the tattoo parlor is if he agrees to join their gang. And Ryo's like, okay. He learns the tattoo parlor's location and sets off.
That's so funny. They wouldn't talk to me. I would go in and they were just like, "Hey, fuck you, high school kid." And no matter what I did, they just would not talk to me. I had to get there somewhere else.
I forgot to mention that the way this game is structured, probably we ended up going about things different ways because this game is so dense and weird and multifaceted.
Yeah.
My path happened to follow the path of the long play I ended up watching to help me take notes pretty closely, which is weird. They also talked with the gang members and they were like, "Hey, you've got strong arms, join our gang." Maybe they won't talk to you if you haven't beaten up the punks yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But depending on when Ryo arrives at the tattoo parlor, if we arrive after closing, we get a creepy scene where the tattoo artist is like, "Oh man, you have great skin. Let me give you a free tattoo since you have such nice skin." And Ryo's like, "No."
That's like, no, that's the creepiest thing I've ever heard.
Anyway, if we go at the right time, we run into Charlie, and he tries to stab Ryo, but Ryo disarms him. After Ryo literally twists his arm, Charlie says he'll arrange for him to meet with some people from the cartel tomorrow at the arcade. As Ryo leaves, he runs into Nozomi. She heard he was around here and came looking for him. She expresses that she's very concerned about Ryo going around being a video game protagonist instead of going to school and all that. Ryo tells her not to worry and brushes her off. Now, I'm not sure what happens if you don't happen to go to the dojo this evening, but I happened to go to the dojo this evening, and so did that Let's Play that I watched to take care of my notes. So this is how it's going to play out. So that evening, Ryo goes to the dojo and runs into Fukusan, who begs Ryo not to go after the people who killed Hazuki-sensei. And Ryo's like, nah, I'm totally going to go get revenge. That's my whole thing right now. Dad told me to keep my friends and those I love close to me, but I'm going to leave town and get revenge instead.
I'm going to keep brushing off my kind of girlfriend so hard every time she tries to talk to me. If I go to ask her anything, I will start the conversation and be like, hey, have you seen any... never mind. And then walk away, and you can't ask her about sailors or motorcycles. You're doing a real good job, Ryo.
You can, theoretically, you have her phone number in your little notebook, so you can call her and have some nice little conversations about like, oh, your parents are in Vancouver, don't you miss them and all that. But that doesn't have to happen. I'm not sure it's canon. So after Ryo talks with Fukusan about how he's going to get revenge, he steps out of the dojo and runs into Ine-san, who heard everything. She also asks him not to seek revenge, but Ryo really, really wants revenge, and to find out the truth behind the things Landi said about his father killing someone and all that. Ine-san shows Ryo the letter she received a few days after Hazuki-sensei's death. She says she hid it because she was worried Ryo would go and do something foolish. She asks Ryo to promise her not to go and do something foolish. Ryo promises, but I'm pretty sure he fully intends to go and do something foolish. Either way, Ryo cannot read the letter because it's in Chinese. Luckily, we made a lot of Chinese friends the other day, so maybe one of them can help us. As Ryo heads into town the next day in search of Chinese people once again, a child runs up to him, crying. He says a man took his soccer ball and said to bring Ryo to him. Ryo follows the child and finds Charlie and a bunch of punks. They attack! Ryo kicks their asses and they run away. Ryo checks on the child, who says, "Xie," which means thank you, in Chinese. Ryo's like, hey, are you Chinese? I'm always looking for Chinese people for one reason or another. The kid's like, yeah, I'm Chinese. My name's Gao Wen. Bye. He runs off. We can now go and ask Ryo's Chinese friends to translate the letter, but they'll all say it's full of weird characters, so they can't read it. Eventually, we'll run into Gao Wen, who says his grandmother could probably read the letter. Ryo goes to see her at her china shop. When Ryo introduces himself, she thanks him for helping Gao Wen and says he now aspires to be strong and brave like Ryo, and it's very cute. Ryo presents the letter, and Grandma's like, oh, weird, these characters are both reversed and written in a weird style. She holds the letter to a mirror and says, beware those who pursue the mirror. If you ever need help, seek the aid of Master Chen. It's signed, Zhu Yanda. There's also a weird message on the back which says, Father's Heaven, 9 Dragons, Mother's Earth, Comrades. There's also what appears to be a phone number written in ancient characters. Ryo's like, oh my god, finally, a solid lead. Something to go on besides ask Chinese people about Chinese people.
Or good sailors about bars.
So Ryo finds the phone and calls the number. A stern voice on the other end says, Father's Heaven. Ryo replies, 9 Dragons, Mother's Earth, Comrades, Warehouse number 8. What? Who are you? Is this the Chen residence? The call disconnects, and Ryo says, oops, in a very weird tone, which does not match.
It's really funny.
Ryo's like, well, I guess I gotta go to a warehouse number 8 somewhere, so he looks up the area code in a phone book so he'll have something more to go on. The phone book reveals that the phone number is from the nearby area of Disc 2. Ryo waits for the bus in real time and heads off to Disc 2. Disc 2 is a harbor full of warehouses and forklifts. Some stuff happens that's not important or funny, so I'm going to skip over it. Ryo finds he needs to get to warehouse number 8 in the Old Warehouse District, but entry to the Old Warehouse District is restricted. That means it's time for a sneaking mission. Ryo doesn't have any night vision goggles, so he just uses a flashlight, which seems bad for sneaking around. This sneaking mission is pretty fucking annoying because you don't actually know where warehouse number 8 is, so you're not sure where to go. You've just got to sneak around till you find it, and it's easy to get caught, and if you get caught, you have to come back the next evening.
I feel like, truly, this is one of those examples of why there are so many games that are not, like, stealth games. They're like, let's section. And I think unless you crafted your game with stealth mechanics in mind, doing a little stealth section here and there is not easy to do well.
Yeah, this is true.
It took me 20 days.
Especially when you play Ryu, the 16-year-old who controls like a tank.
Yep.
And did you guys suck as bad as me? Did it take you like 20 days to do it? Did y'all meet the homeless guy that lives in the warehouse district?
I threw down a save state before trying this because I did not want to go through all of that so much.
I had forgotten to, and then at that point I was too far in. It's like, if I'm not going to get it first try, what's the difference in 15 days and 20 days? But if every time you lose and you come back, like every 3 or 4, there's a homeless guy around there who like asks you what you're up to, and the first time he gives you a map. And then the second time you fail 4 or 5 times in a row, he's like, okay, here's the map, and here's where all of the guards move on the map. I'll mark it for you. And then later, he's like, oh, and when he gives you the map, he gives you a pen, and then you can do the really annoying, impossible, press the button to stop moving, and now your control stick instead looks around, and you do that at the wall and click A, and Rio will be like, nope, that's warehouse number 2. That's not the one I'm looking for, and then write it on the map, so that you can slowly build out your map and know where everything goes. So if you fail that one, he gives you some. I think he gives you a hint of like where a couple of them are, so that you'll be able to know where, like if you're walking around and you see like warehouse 6, say that's when he gives you, like, okay, I now know where I am on a different part of the map or whatever. And then if you fail that one, he's like, hey, it's almost the holidays, so a lot of people have vacation tomorrow, so we're just gonna fucking give it to you. You could possibly still lose, but it, like, every guard route has, I think, 3 or 4 guards on it. On that last day, they have 1, and they're all right in front of you when you start. So if you just hang a right and go straight to the warehouse, you cannot lose. It is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
It is truly, Sam, thank you for doing that nightmare that you went through, because that is fucking hysterical, and I'm so glad to know about it.
Oh my gosh. Eventually, Rio finds his way to warehouse number 8. It's dark and creepy inside. Rio wanders around doing everything obvious, but no event triggers until he randomly investigates a china plate. The lights come on and Rio drops the plate like an idiot. A stern man in a pinstripe suit appears and takes a battle stance. An old man in a Chinese robe approaches dramatically and says, "Wait, Guizhang." Guizhang addresses the man as Master Chen. Rio introduces himself and shows Master Chen the letter. Master Chen recognizes Zhu Yunda's handwriting. Rio asks how Zhu knew his father, and Master Chen says Zhu and Hazuki brought back a certain mirror from China. Rio says Lan Di, the man who killed his father, stole it. According to Master Chen, the leader of an organization called Chiyo Men goes by the name Lan Di. Guizhang says, "You needn't tell this boy anything, father." But Master Chen says he is bound by his promise to Zhu. Master Chen asks if only one mirror was stolen. Rio says, yeah, it had a dragon design. Master Chen says there should be another mirror as well, with a phoenix design. Find it, then we'll talk. Finally, actual plot is happening. We'll uncover more secrets next week.
But for now, let's listen to some music and then talk about our probably plentiful memorable moments.
So to start with, as the Shenmue virgin between the three of us,
I mean, this is my first time playing it. I knew literally nothing about it.
Clearly know a lot about it.
No, I knew literally nothing about it until I started playing. I just really fucking like this game.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, you came off like an expert. Uh,
Well, I'm glad. I felt like I was doing really bad, so I'm
no,
glad I sounded like an expert.
you to me at least, you fooled me. Um, so I think this game is absolutely fascinating. It is not, I think, my cup of tea as much as it is your cup of tea, but it is like I respect the fuck out of it. Like this
Yeah.
is a great thing that I'm glad exists. What it reminded, the thing that stuck out the most to me, as just a larger mem mom sort of thing for this first week, is I just kept thinking like, you brought up how development wise, Virtua Fighter was a key thing that they were kind of originally going for before it took the turn it did. And I didn't make that connection without looking into it. What I kept thinking about was 2D side-scrolling beat 'em ups like Double Dragon or River City Rampage, stuff like that. Like feels plot wise that is what's happening, and with the like combat system, that's kind of like the thing happening, except it's not that at all, because they're like, okay, but what if we did that, but then we made it a life sim, and we made it's a life sim that has quest design that I can only describe as like a Sierra adventure game. What if you mix those genres together? You get Shenmue. It's a
Yeah.
choice. I'm really glad it happened. It's really fascinating because for the time, it's bizarre. Like it
Mhm.
is truly like, what in the world fucking convinced you to put these things together? But in hindsight, from where we are now, as bizarre as the game is in so many ways, in other ways it feels wildly modern
Mhm.
in the way that the quests aren't even quests really, just like things that happen in relationships you have with characters in the game evolve over time. The thing with the cat, like
Mhm.
it feels like a thing that would happen in a game that comes out now, not a thing from the era of the Dreamcast.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It is wildly ahead of its time,
Yeah.
which is just
So,
so interesting.
not to sound like a failed film major who's also a cousin gamer, but it reminds me of Citizen Kane. So Citizen Kane came out a bajillion fucking years ago, but when you watch it, because everyone had been working together in theater for so long, they have such a rapport with each other that it doesn't feel like any other movie from its time period. So when you watch it, it feels like you're watching a movie from like the 60s and not from the late 30s or whenever it was. And it's very cool in that regard. And that's what this feels like, where I run into some jank and I'm like, yep, this is a Dreamcast game. And then I'm like, oh, hey, all these people have daily schedules. I thought Oblivion did that in 3 console generations.
Citizen Kane came out in 1941, so you weren't too far off.
Yeah. When I said late 30s, I was thinking 39, and I was like, no, that doesn't quite sound right. But I knew it was pre-war.
Pretty fucking
so,
close.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing for this game narratively is the music. If you ask me, every emotional beat hits despite the extremely weird writing and acting, because the music is just that effective.
It's very
yeah.
good.
There were tons of people doing music for this game. The 2 main composers listed on Wikipedia are, of course, Yuzo Koshiro, who we mentioned, who, a legend, and then also Takenobu Mitsuyoshi, who is a composer who did lots of work for lots of Sega arcade games, and also sang the Daytona, Let's Go Away. That was him.
Nice.
And also, he sang the F-Zero medley in Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Nice.
Incredible.
I love that guy. But yeah, when it's just being either the big dramatic music at the beginning when Hazuki is dying, or the somber music when Ine-san is showing Ryo the letter, it's just all so good.
Yeah. I would also say, I really was impressed, especially in the opening cutscene, the animation and the shot composition in this game is pretty remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would also like specifically call it the thing that really surprised me was, and I have a hard time putting exactly into words what I was feeling here, but like the speed at which the character models moved, that they're animated in cutscenes, is surprising to me because I'm so much more used to with this sort of game, there being not a clunkiness, but like a lot of the time they're using, and I'm sure in this case they probably were like some like what's it called, like motion capture stuff was very popular at many points for this kind of thing, but a lot of the time that can lead to like slower animation, it feels like. And here it feels so much snappier, which is great for the martial arts of it. Every
Yes.
quick time event, it feels frenetic almost. The bit where you go into the fucking tattoo shop and you go to pull aside the curtain and the guy comes at you with a fucking knife, like holy
Hmm.
shit, that it feels like a lightning, it hits so quick.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you bringing up the shot composition and everything made me check release dates. Metal Gear Solid, who was the first one to do it, was only in September of the year before. So within a year of Metal Gear Solid coming out, they got here with in-game cutscenes, which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, I, it's weird because I was about to say, well, Yu Suzuki, we can also say is some great auteur, but uh, he hadn't really done any narrative games at that point.
No.
Kojima hadn't uh, directed anything that looked like Metal Gear Solid, but he had directed lots of narrative games. But
Mhm.
Yu Suzuki just made games about driving cars.
Yeah.
I want to ask y'all something.
Okay.
Okay.
Were y'all able to get a read on Rio? What's his deal? Is he a good boy? Is he a punk? I
I
don't know.
I don't know either. I have no read on this kid.
I talked to a bunch of his classmates like every time I saw them, and my read on him is that he is a good boy. He's just like
Going
kind of
through some
weird
stuff.
and really into karate, and it has been recently that he has been like not showing up to school and stuff like that because his dad died, it's implied. So it seems like he was being a good little boy, and he even says, because Nozomi asks where he wants to go to college, and he goes, "Well, I'm not sure, but wherever it is, it's going to have karate." So
Yeah.
he's just really into karate. Otherwise, he's a good little boy.
Also, all the older people in the town seem to like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all meet the old woman who calls him suede-headed Rio?
No.
No.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, little suede-headed Rio has really grown up," and he says, "Don't call me little suede-headed Rio."
Yeah.
Uh,
Experience of growing up in a community where you end up getting nicknames from people that you're like, I don't fucking like that. Don't do that.
yeah. So this town is a really small town, and everybody knows everybody. And when
yes.
Scarlett was watching me play, she's like, "Why do these kids keep running up to the stranger?" I was like, "He's their neighbor. They see him every day, and he's only supposed to be 16. They're not going up to some random man and being like, 'Hey, mister, can we play soccer?'" And he's just like, "No, this it's Rio from up the street." And he's like, "Hey, want to play? It's a normal thing. You do this here with the kids around the apartment." It's just funny to me because she's used to seeing games that look like this are set in a Grand Theft Auto, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
these are just random people. But no, this is
These are
a
real
hyper
people.
dense 3 city blocks is what this game takes place in.
Yep. So my favorite character is Itoi-san, the old man who makes patches. He talks like David Lynch. The Japanese word wappen. It means patch. Learn anything? I love him so much. Also,
Ugh.
if you talk to while you're searching for Chinese people, you can find that you can talk to him and he'll say, Years ago, I was Chinese, which is a weird translation of him saying, I am from China and now I'm a naturalized Japanese citizen. But then if you talk to him while you're trying to get the letter translated, he reveals that he forgot his Chinese. I'm like, bro, you forgot your native language? What the fuck? That's fucked up. That's so dark.
That's wild.
Maybe he just didn't want to help Ryo, so he lied.
My favorite side character is Yamagishi-san, who lives up the road. He's an old guy who threw his back out, and you can run into him several times in the game. And it turns out that he was an old like sparring partner and drinking buddy for your dad, and he teaches you several secret moves, and that in itself is pretty cool. And you do things like you find like a pair of sake bowls in your dad's stuff and things like that are like referencing that, because this game is fucking dense as shit. But the coolest, the dense part is I go and I learn these special moves, and then Fugusan wants to spar. So we go to spar and I use that move, and he like stops and is like, holy shit, where'd you learn that move? And it's like they programmed it in that when I do something that's not a part of the Hazuki school, he's our shining boy who's 20 years older than us, Fukusan, is going to be really impressed.
It's so funny how Fukusan has that line where he's like, your father took me in when I was 15. That was 10 years ago. And I'm like, bro, you're 25. You talk like you're 14. You talk like I'm your elder, even though I'm like a young boy of 16 to 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
This game is wild, and I love it.
I also love that it came out so long ago when it did, that the Sega references that it has for all of their like in-game gacha and stuff is from Sonic the Fighters, the game that nobody else remembers, but you can get little gacha of Fang the Weasel and Bean the Dynamite and Bark the Polar Bear. And it's like that's wild. That's the cultural touchstone at the time.
Sega was weird.
I want to have it be known, I also have a favorite random person in town, but I didn't write down his fucking name, and I am currently going through a wiki's list of fucking characters to find
Good luck.
him.
There's 300 in this first game alone.
I know! I'm going as quickly as I can!
What's their deal? I might remember their name.
He has a really weird accent in the Dreamcast dub.
That's not specific enough.
You're right. He mans a cart, I think. Is
it the burger cart?
The hot dog cart.
Not the burger cart. Not the burger cart. I think maybe the hot dog cart. I don't remember.
Is it the two black characters in this game?
No, he's not black.
Okay. So it's not Tom or Honey.
No, it's not Tom or Honey. I would have remembered Tom and Honey's fucking voices. Our names.
One thing I love is when you're breaking into warehouse number 8, on your way there, Honey has moved the cart and she's selling hot dogs there too, because they're in a food truck. Why would they park it in the same place all the time? And I thought that was a cute little touch.
I hope that when we go to Hong Kong in the second game, the food truck's there too.
Yes.
Just like wherever we go, Tom and Honey and their food truck are just there. Like, hey. Speaking of characters who have great accents, Tao-san, who tells Ryo that not all Chinese people are bad, has this amazing sort of British accent, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
That line of dialogue where he says that just makes me giggle so much, because it's like it really rubs your face and it's like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
Ryo, what are you doing, man?
I do wonder if in the original Japanese writing, it's things are worded a bit more delicately or not.
Yeah.
Who can say?
Sure. So, this game being ostensibly a mystery game has a in-world or in-game quest tracker, which is your notebook that we joked about at the beginning, where he wrote down,
Yes.
"My dad died yesterday." And because it's one of the first ones of those, at least in this form, they didn't have a way to like they just had flags for each of the different parts of each different page. It doesn't like delete any white space or put things in order. And so I, at one point, because like I said, I stumbled into where I was supposed to go for the sailors. So I just have like 5 blank pages in the middle of my thing because I started the next leg of the quest because I didn't have to ask anybody in the middle. And I think it's so cool and so weird that it does it that way. But so when I first started the game, he pulls it out, and the first thing you see are phone numbers, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go call all of these numbers and see what happens. So I wrote them down in my IRL game journal so that I didn't have to keep opening the menu, and I called all of them. And most of the time, people aren't there. But like if you call Nozomi, and you just be like, "Hey, what's up? Like, how are you doing?" And it's nice and pleasant and completely useless. Yeah, you use the phone one time, and that could have been you go there and it starts a cutscene where you call Master Chen. But no, the whole time you can call anybody because that's Shenmue, baby.
You can dial the number for the police, and Rio hangs up the phone and says something along the lines of, "No, I'll avenge my father's murder on my own." I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah. So unrelated to the content of the game itself. So I was emulating this on my new Retroid, and the Android Dreamcast emulators have some issues because of the way the Dreamcast handled transparency was weird and it's hard to emulate. And so there are 2 main renderers that the app Flycast can use. And if you're on OpenGL, everything is a eldritch abomination because his tongue and teeth stick out of his face and his eyes glitch through his cheeks, and it's horrible. But if you switch to Vulkan on like PC and stuff, that will fix it. But on mine, it just made Rio just floating hands. Everything else was completely invisible, and it was hilarious. But I downloaded Redream, and that one works better. But on Flycast, I was trying so hard to play the game, but the faces were not doing it. There's one part in the opening cutscene where Rio like looks up from the ground, and you can tell he's supposed to be like, "No, Dad," but all I see is like big square white pieces sticking out of his face. It was very horrible and hilarious. Apparently, that same thing happens in Sonic Adventure 1 because of their weird face choices in that game.
I don't know what you mean. I think all the face choices in that game look great. No problems at all. No weird lip syncing. No bizarre. So here I have to say I am near the end of this list, and I'm starting to realize I think I was wrong before and I just didn't remember. I think the character I was thinking of was Tom Johnson.
That's amazing.
I think it is. I really like him.
He's great.
He's fantastic.
Having a conversation with him is a delight.
So one thing that I think is interesting about this game, I've only played Shenmue 1. I haven't played 2 or 3. I've like messed around with 2 a little bit, but only really played 1. I think it's interesting how so much of this game's vibe comes from it being a small town where Rio knows everybody. And in the next game, he is in Hong Kong and doesn't know anybody there. That's interesting to me. That's gonna be such a different vibe.
Yeah, weird. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah, I'm probably going to play Shenmue 2 after we finish this because
I am
really
absolutely
enjoying this.
I am going to marathon through all 3 games.
I have heard mixed things about Shenmue 3.
Me too.
I don't know how you can possibly capture Shenmue again in 2019. That seems like an impossible task, but I'm interested to see. I'm interested to learn about the girl on the box art. She apparently she does show up near the end of Shenmue 2, but yeah.
That's so funny. Because like on one of the versions of the box art for the first game, she is more prominent than Rio is. And I was like, this is going to be a two-hander. Like, this is before the datification of games, but I'm like, oh, this is going to be a dude and the girl he's protecting dad game. And no, she's not in this game at all. She's just
not
bigger than
even
him for
there.
some reason.
Also, maybe this should wait until the next episode or the episode after that if we do 3, but I don't want to forget to mention it. There's a bad ending to this game if you take too fucking long. If you take until sometime in April and you haven't beaten the game yet, there's a bad ending.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's a bad ending where spoilers, Londi kills Rio. you die in the bad ending.
Yeah, it doesn't really spoil anything that we haven't already learned at this point. He shows up and says, "Hey, I heard there was another mirror, bitch." And Rio's like, "I'm gonna kill you." And Lundy's like, "No, you're not." And then Landy does that same move he did on Hazuki Sensei, and Rio gets blasted back, and then it just cuts to game over. It's great.
Yeah, I really like this game. Back when we first covered Undertale, me, Maddie, and Eli mused that we would love a game to have a AAA budget, but make something as dense as Undertale was. And it didn't need to be big, it just needed to be dense. So Shenmue is both big and dense, and it rules.
It's true.
It's the game I wanted.
It's a lot of video game.
It's so much video game, you guys.
It's so much video game, and there's 3 of them.
So next week, we're not sure if we're finishing the game next week, because it's been so long that I don't really remember the structure that well. There is a lot of gameplay left, but a lot of it might just be driving forklifts. So we'll see if we can get through the rest of the game next week. If not, then we'll go into the week after Christmas. But this game also has New Year's stuff if you get to New Year's. So
nice.
It still works.
And I will probably suck at the forklift enough that I will have tax season content to report back on.
Just don't go until April.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that will do it for this week. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations help us offset the cost of running the show. If you decide to donate $1 more a month, you'll become one of our gadabouts and also get access to our bonus feed filled with after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show, such as Tales of Podcastia, The Escape Pod, and the JRPG Canon. If you up your donation to $5 or more each month, you can become one of our warriors and get your name read at the end of every episode, a little like this. Shouts to Dragonslayer19, Freddie Rodriguez, and JFro Prime. And then if you really, really love us and you want to be one of our luminaries, you can donate $20 or more a month and get a short one-sentence shout-out or advert read at the end of each episode, kind of like this. Shouts to Kildranas, who says to check out Podcasters Assemble. It is a documentary-style, crowdsourced movie hype and rewatch podcast. Every season, podcasters from around the world are assembled to review, reminisce, and riff on a popular franchise. And then shoutouts to Vimke, who says, Gideon said, "Don't make the mistake of drawing on me, Crux." And then shoutouts to It's Claire Time, who says, "For you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game, but I just think it's neat." For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye.